Alright guys, welcome back to Alaska Cabin Adventures. Today we're going to be setting up a security camera at my off-grid cabin in Alaska. So obviously I don't have electricity or Wi-Fi out here, so it's very difficult to use most of the products that are on the market. To clarify, I do have electricity out of my cabin, just not all the time because it comes from a small gas and solar generator that I run, and when I'm not at the cabin, I certainly don't have either of those running. But Reolink has come out with this product that I think is going to be perfect. It's something that I've wanted to do for a long time for a couple of reasons. The obvious being just in case someone tries to break in or vandalize my place in any way, I'll have footage of it. But also to capture footage of all the game that comes and goes by my cabin. I got tons of wildlife out here. There's bears, fox, moose, lynx, you name it. All sorts of animals. And occasionally they'll come by the cabin close enough for the camera to get a shot. So I really want to have it as a game cam as well. So today we're going to be working with the Reolink PT Ranger, which is going to be the perfect solution for somewhere that doesn't have electricity or Wi-Fi. And it's going to run on this solar panel, which will hook up and then just plugs into the camera. So it'll charge itself as long as you have some sunshine. And then the way that it gets the signal back to you is via cell phone service. So luckily, AT&T does have coverage in the area that I am. It's not very good, but it works. And all I need to do is put a SIM card in the camera, and then it'll talk to my cell phone wherever I am in the world. So anyway, let's get into it. First thing I want to do is show you everything that came in the box. So we have the actual camera itself, which is on a swivel, the antenna, the housing for it, strap that I think is like to go around a tree, a charging cable, which is USB-C, the mount for the actual solar panel itself, which has a long enough USB-C cable, quite a bit of run right there, to get it over to the camera, wherever you set it up. So, right, well, I'm just getting this thing put together here, and I want to talk to you guys about the SIM card to get. I did a lot of looking for a good SIM card and plan that would work here at the cabin, and had a really hard time finding something, actually, especially up here in Alaska. So, I wanted to tell you guys about the EOT Club. At least that's how I think you say it. It's EIOT, EOTClub.com. And they had SIM cards that are specifically made for trail cameras. And I think that it's a really great option because it's much cheaper than any of the plans that AT&T had. I think they also use like 3 different cell service providers so they can pull off of all the different towers and get you the best signal possible. So this camera is not going to work if you are somewhere that doesn't at least have a cell signal. So that's the thing to keep in mind. Anyway, so we're going to pop this card into the camera. I've actually had the Ranger PT, the first edition, the Keen Ranger, and it's a great camera, so I kind of know a little bit about how these work. The problem with it is that here in Alaska, we don't get a ton of sun, and the solar panel was like half the size of this one. And so it started dying on me pretty frequently, and I just stopped using it because I was so tired of having to pull it down inside, recharge it, and put it back up there. We'll see. Hopefully this bigger panel will make the difference for keeping it going. Has a little SIM card slot right here. You kind of have to move the top of the camera to find it. Let's pop this thing in, see what happens. All right, you push it in until it clicks. It does come with one of these little tiny tools, and we'll go ahead and flip it on. And just to let you guys know, I already charged this up overnight, which you'll definitely want to do first thing out of the box. It might have a little bit of juice in it, but it definitely needs to be charged. It's moving.
Network connection succeeded.
All right, I've got the SIM card installed and it's ready to rock. So now I've got to link it to my phone. And you open up the Reolink app and it's going to give you a scanning option. And on the bottom of these, there's a QR code. So I think I just got to scan this QR code and it should find the device. All right, it looks like it worked, and it's gonna prompt me to set a password for this device. Oh yeah, cool. So there's the camera. It's pointing at me, and it's displaying on my phone in live time, and actually really good live time. That's like barely has a lag at all. Awesome. Okay, this is gonna be cool. All right, well, let's go outside and get this thing set up. So you want to put a lot of thought into where you set your camera up. Obviously, you want to have it in a position to see whatever it is that you're trying to see. And you also need to consider where the solar panel is going to go. For me, up here in the corner is going to be the best spot because I get a whole bunch of sunny southern sun exposure as it comes across the sky. And I can rotate the camera 360 from the app on my phone, which allows me to see up the driveway, which is probably going to be where I keep it stationary most of the time. If someone's going to get up onto my property, it's going to be from this way. All the other spots have too many trees and steep hills to get up. So I'm going to have it pointed down that way, and then I can rotate it around and look at the rest of my property, including down to the pond where I think I'm going to see the most wildlife. and then I'll have the sun hitting it from up there. The other nice thing about having it up here is that it's kind of out of arm's reach from someone who might want to rip it down. Unless they have a ladder, they're not going to be able to get up there. So, I mean, obviously they could bring a ladder, but it might deter someone. So I don't know if you guys can see, but I still have the rigging for my old camera up there, which again was like the first edition of this one. And I think I'm going to be able to use most of the mounting hardware to install the new stuff. But it's really not hard. I just used a couple of screws. I didn't even bother with their like little mounting plate. I just took screws and sent it straight in. Anyway, I'm going to climb up there and get it put in. Super easy. So I'm just gonna pull the old solar panel off. And I think the mounting hardware will work on the new one. All right. Easy. And then it just plugs in to the camera. Nice good click. All right, and just like that, it's installed. That's the easiest thing I've ever done. All right, so from that position, the camera's gonna be able to go 360 across all of this, and then up my driveway right there. And it could even look backwards at the porch, just in case I get a squirrel up there, which happens quite a bit. So if this thing works out as well as I hope it does, I'll probably get a couple more of them. I could put one way down at the end of the drive, and maybe one out overlooking the pond or in the trails back behind the cabin that I know a lot of the game go by. And yeah, just kind of keep eyes on everything. You could probably see all sorts of awesome stuff. I know in the app, you can see all the different cameras hooked up in one spot. So you could just do a quick swipe and keep an eye on all the different spots on your property. Which, speaking of that, let's go inside, pull the app up, and I'm going to show you all the different features and neat things about this that make it so good for off-grid security. So now that I've got the camera all set up, I'm going to hop into the Reolink app. Usually takes a second to connect, and a lot of times, at least with the old one, it would actually fail, and you'd have to try it like 2 or 3 times, and then it'll finally grab a signal and get it. Cool. All right, so there it is. So that's kind of pointing straight down, and if I go, I think, to this little middle icon down here at the bottom, yeah, I think this is how I can change the direction of the camera. And so you kind of use this little pulley. Oh, yep, there we go. Use this little pulley stick on either side. So I'm gonna see how far to the left I can go. If you can't get it far enough to where you want to look, it's probably because you need to go back the other way. Oh, look, you can see Norman is curled up in a dog ball, sleeping right there. And let's see if I can zoom in. Yep, I can zoom in and see Norman's out there taking a nap in the snow like a true husky. All right, so right here, you can see that I got a nice clear shot of the driveway. Sometimes it takes a second for the camera to respond to the controls in here because it just has to go through the cell phone signal. All right, so you can see all the way down to the pond, which is frozen right now, obviously, because it's winter in Alaska. I can look around, see the rest of my porch, front door, and all the way over to right here. That's gonna be the best shot for my security. I can see down the driveway, so if anyone was to come up, I'll definitely know that they're coming. And I can even see to the front door, which is gonna be really important. If someone's trying to break in, they're gonna go for that front door, especially with the glass, and I'll get a really good shot of their face. All right, so like I was saying, this is a motion triggered camera. So it's not gonna be recording unless something triggers it. And that saves battery, and it also saves space on your SIM card data. But the other thing about this camera that's really neat is that it has an SD card, and it actually comes with one. And that SD card is gonna record all of these things, even if your cellular data is out. I don't think you can run this camera without getting cellular data first to it, but I've experienced it where my data was out and it still recorded onto the SD card. You can set it so that it deletes the old information on the SD card as it fills up. So the new stuff that comes on, the old stuff will get deleted once it fills up, which is quite a few weeks, I think, depending on how much activity you have on your camera. And so that way, if for some reason your data wasn't working over the cell phone, you could always come and pull the physical SD card out of the camera and be good to go. But we can go into the settings here and set exactly how sensitive we want the triggering to be. So if we go to the PIR motion sensor, you can go to the sensitivity, and you'll see right here, camera at higher sensitivity detects every small change in the field of view, such as a sneaky person at a distance. So if you turn the sensitivity way up, it's going to trigger on things like a falling leaf or the wind blowing a little bit. And that'll give you a lot of false triggers, and it'll also use up your battery and your data quicker. So it's good to kind of start with the recommendations that they have and then go from there. If you're noticing that it's not triggering when there's things going by, like if you know the dog walked past or if you're out there and it's not working, you for sure want to turn that sensitivity up. Also, I think my camera is a little high compared to where you'd normally want to have it set up. I don't think it's designed to be as far away as mine is. And I turn my sensitivity up a little bit more just because I have noticed that it hasn't triggered on everything that I want it to. I'd rather get a false trigger than miss a trigger. So I'm going to set it up to 90. And then if you do start getting false triggers, you can click that button that says reduce false alarms. Okay, maximum alarm duration. So there's an alarm built into this camera that you can set to go off if it sees anything. I don't want mine to just trigger every time it sees something because I don't want it to scare off any wildlife. But I do want it to go off if I tell it to. So it has a button in here that's really an awesome feature of this. Right up here at the top, it has this cool button, and I'm going to press that button, and it's going to trigger alarm. And so I don't know if you guys can hear, but the alarm is going off outside. That might be enough to scare off someone who's trying to break into your cabin right there. Just something that knows they're there and is triggering the alarm could be the difference between getting robbed and not. But they take it a step further. They have a microphone on here in the bottom left corner that I can press, and I can tap to talk. So if I hold this down and I say, hey, get off my property, or hey, how's it going? I'm not home, whatever it might be, it's going to go ahead and project that through the microphone. Oh, it's coming around me in all distances. Okay, I got to turn that off. So I can clearly hear myself talking outside through that. Sounds like a walkie-talkie, but nonetheless, that would be an awesome deterrent. If some guy's trying to break into your house and all of a sudden you're like, hey buddy, come on in, the door's unlocked, I have a hunch they might just decide to mess with somebody else. So to me, that might be the best deterrent. You can always call the police, but my cabin is so far away. If I happen to be in town or away for a couple of days and I get a trigger that says there's someone on my property, I open up my camera and I see that there is in fact someone trying to break in, I can literally turn on this microphone and let them know that they're going to have trouble if they try to get in that front door. I think that a verbal warning is going to be so much stronger than just an alarm triggering. Of course, I'd also be calling the police and telling them that someone is trying to break into my cabin, but there's no way that the police are going to be able to get out to my cabin in time to stop a burglary or just something getting broken or vandalized. So what we can do is we can take a look at the battery whenever it's plugged in, and you can see right here in the battery display that it's currently at 100%, and it also has the little lightning bolt indicator next to it, which means that it is actively charging. So our solar panel is working, and it says right on there, it has like a little sunshine indicator that shows you that the solar panel is actually getting sun on it and charging your camera. That is pretty cool. I mean, you never have to go out and change the battery or plug it into anything. It's just using the wealth that the sun gives. All right, so when we go into the display settings, you can flip the camera. It also has stream, which is gonna basically decide how high of resolution you want your streaming to be. Now, the higher the resolution that you have it streaming in, the more data that it's gonna eat up on your SIM card. So set it to whatever you want. I think that if you don't get a lot of triggers, it would be fine for it to be set to a pretty high resolution. But also remember, that's gonna take longer for it to make its way to your phone. So really high bit rates are just gonna have a hard time streaming to your phone very quickly. So the lower that you put it, the faster that'll show up. So clear is the high res one, and fluent would be like the low res one. So this camera does really well at night, actually. Even when it's pitch black, it's able to see stuff moving around and get you a pretty good like nighttime image of whatever it is. I think it uses like a red light to cast some sort of lumens out there, and then it's not really detectable when you're out there, but it does make it show up on camera. So that's pretty cool. All right, so next is this detection alarm setting. Create a zone over the area you don't want to receive alerts about. So if there's like a part of your property that you are frequently coming and going from and you don't want it alerting you, you can set that with the camera to be like, don't alert me when there's something on this side of the field of view. And also you can turn up your sensitivity here as well. So I can set the detection for the different things. It can tell the difference between an animal, a person, and a vehicle. And I'm gonna turn these up. especially for the human one. I want anything that remotely resembles a human to let me know. And same thing with the animal. In fact, the animal one I'm going to turn all the way up because I really want to see every tiny little critter that comes by. All right, so I'm going to allow critical alerts, which will make it so that even if my phone's on silent or do not disturb, it'll still send me a message because this is definitely something I want to know about no matter what. You can also do time lapses with this camera, which is awesome. I've done some time lapses with my old one over the pond, and I've just done like 2 weeks of watching the vegetation on the pond change, and it was really fun. All right, so now that we have the basic settings for the camera itself going, we have a profile that we can make so that this camera will only alert me to motion or even turn on when I want it to. So I can set up a profile here. I can set one for when I'm here at the cabin and when I'm away from the cabin. So this one's going to be called away. All right, so now I'm going to make one for while I'm here at the cabin. This one's going to be called here. So I don't want to get push button notifications while I'm here, but I do want it to record. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn off the notifications, but keep the record turned on. And I'll probably just set the camera pointing at the pond when I'm here, and then the only time it'll trigger is when me and Norman go down there. Okay, so now I can select which one I want. I'm gonna click away, make sure it's working. We're gonna test this thing out. We're gonna walk outside and see if it alerts me to my presence. Norm's ready to go. Hi, Norm. All right, so I'm gonna walk out into the field of view of the camera, and I've got my phone in hand, and we'll see if it, oh, there we go. Just got an alert on my phone. It says motion detected. Click on it, and then it's gonna open the app up in my phone and take me to a live view of us standing here right now. Well, I am genuinely excited to see how this camera holds up and see if that bigger solar panel will keep it charged. Originally, when I had the first edition of the camera, the panel wouldn't keep it charged like I was telling you. And so I wrote Reolink and asked them if there was some kind of solution for that. And they wrote back actually and said that I could demo this new camera that they have that has the bigger solar panel in exchange for doing a review video. And I turn down these types of offers 99.9% of the time. I get them all the time for having a YouTube channel. But I'm not in this to make commercials. But since I'm doing a video on something that I actually believe in, and I feel like it really helps the lifestyle out here, I thought it would be relevant information for my viewers. So anyway, if you guys want to buy this camera, scroll down into the description. I put a link down there. You can check out their products. They also have good cameras for being on grid. If you do have Wi-Fi and electricity, they've got all sorts of cool motion tracking, dual lens, fancy McGancy's out there. So yeah, anyway, thanks a lot for watching. I'll see you guys on the next episode of Alaska Cabin Adventures.